If I look at the year as a whole, of course, it has been a tough year, with the oil price being where it was, $44 on average. But we have been taking advantage of that as well. If I look back on the year, we're running the company at a cost level which is $10 billion lower than what it was 24 months ago. We now run the combined company at a cost level that was below the Shell standalone cost level. We've taken out $20 billion of capital costs compared to 2 years before. We're picking up the divestments, and we still have a lot of growth to come in the lead up to 2018. We don't plan on certain oil price outcomes for our financial resilience. So we take a pretty conservative view. We are ready to run the company, to balance the company at oil price levels that are significantly below what it is that we are seeing today.
But do you think global oil demand and supply are likely to come into balance this year?
I think they are in balance right now. And again, how these balances play out on a month-to-month basis will continue to be, I'm afraid, a little bit confusing for markets to watch. This is a very complicated market with lots of moving parts.
Now, as you say, you've been selling assets to bring down debt, including earlier this week a parcel of North Sea assets, which represented about half your business there. How committed is Shell to the North Sea now?
Well, indeed, we have brought down that position quite a bit. Put a bit of context around it, Ian. Indeed, it's a bit over half our production. But, you know, this was predominantly a very mature set of assets. And we have said very clearly when we did the BG deal and how we were going to rejuvenate and reposition the portfolio, we were going to get out of some of the more mature positions to focus our investments on less mature assets with longer running rooms. So that meant that the UK was under review. We've been very clear about it. Now, at the same time, these are high-quality assets. They produce cash. They do have running room left. And I think they are better able or better owned by a player like Cryosol, who actually specializes in that type of operation. Does it mean that we will be out of the North Sea? Far from it. We will be continuing to invest in the North Sea to the tune of at least $700 million a year going forward. So we will still see growth in the North Sea.
Now, one of your peers, Rex Tillerson of ExxonMobil, has just become Secretary of State to Donald Trump. What do you think he's going to be like in the job?
Well, I know Rex quite well as a businessman. I think he was a formidable businessman. I enjoyed working with him. Of course, in many areas we were partners, like in the North Sea. In many areas we were competitors. And I respect him an awful lot in both roles. Now he is a diplomat. I'm still a businessman. So our paths have diverged. But I'm sure the skills that he brings, the qualities of character that he brings to the role will serve him very well.
President Trump is obviously quite sceptical about climate change. He's obviously a supporter of traditional oil and gas companies. Do you take encouragement from that?
Well, I think, first of all, on climate change and the energy transition that we are going through and is inevitable and is also needed in the context of the Paris commitments, I don't think that is going to change. I think that is actually unstoppable. And we need to be a company that is right at the vanguard of doing that and make sure that we can not only survive in that energy transition, but actually are a thriving company and take advantage of the opportunities as well. I also think, though, that the President will focus on clear industrial policy. I think he will probably be less idealistic, but it doesn't mean that he will be less effective in achieving some of the things that we are already seeing in the United States.
But overall, you think he's going to create a more favourable environment for the industry?
Well, I think he will. That's, of course, a stated objective. I think he will create, or he will aim to create, a more favourable environment for business, being the businessman that he is himself. And I think we can only be welcoming that. What that means in detail for the oil and gas industry, we will have to see. I think some of the regulatory changes that he is proposing can be changes for the better. But at the same time, we actually also quite like regulation because it basically heightens the bar for everybody, including ourselves.